Hi, I'm Aislinn Carrol, and I'm a senior at the Hawaii Preparatory Academy. I take advanced placement biology, one of 18 AP courses offered here, where I use gel electrophoresis to isolate the specific genes in the DNA of coqui frogs. I also take an honors English class, where I crack open the spines of beautiful, glossy new books and take notes in the margins with reckless abandon. Last year, I took a photography class, and every single student was loaned a brand new Canon DSLR T5 to use for the entire semester. Our sports teams regularly compete in and win state championships, and over 98% of graduates will go on to attend a four-year college or university. I'm Ash Carroll. I'm a senior at the Hawaii Preparatory Academy, but I didn't start here. I spent my first 2 years of high school at a rural Title I public school. Only 2 AP courses were taught per year, one of which by a teacher who has been on leave since 2014. 80% of my peers were on free or reduced price lunch. 25% of my classmates will have dropped out by senior year, and a majority of classes were taught by Teach for America teachers, most of whom will have left by the end of their 2-year service. By the end of my sophomore year, I was exhausted. I was tired of going to classes without a teacher there to instruct me. I was tired of opening up textbooks that were 20 years old for them to fall apart in my hands. I was tired of watching my classmates, full of brilliance and potential, dropping out one by one. By the end of 10th grade, I was regularly skipping classes, letting my grades drop, and growing more pessimistic by the day. But I was lucky. I come from a family that highly values education, and we had the means to try something different. So I applied for a spot in HPA's class of 2018, received a merit scholarship, and somehow convinced my parents to foot the rest of the school's staggering $48,000 tuition per year for 5-day boarding students. But don't get me wrong, I have been more than satisfied with my prep school experience. I have matured tremendously under the guidance of fantastic teachers, grown intellectually as a result of rigorous coursework, and will be attending college next year on a scholarship. When I first started at HPA, I was in awe of the opportunities I instantly had access to, but it felt wrong. I knew that while I was explicating Yeats in a field somewhere, my classmates back home were crammed in classrooms far too small to accommodate their growing class sizes. As I spent hours in the energy lab mesmerized by 3D printers and student-run engineering projects, I couldn't help remember my old friends who didn't even have internet at home and they couldn't complete their homework assignments. I'd like you all to reflect on your educational experiences. How has your experience in school shaped you as a person or guided you to a career path? For a majority of the people in this room, their education has been the firm foundation from which they've built their lives. It could be by developing socio-emotional skills, forming career contacts, to deciding what you're truly passionate about. But would your experience in school have been as fruitful if your school lacked the basic resources necessary to educate a child? When I reflect on my educational experience, I wonder what my life would be like now if I'd stayed at my old school. Statistics say that I'd be graduating, like 71% of students. And I'd probably be attending college, like 36% of graduates. Seems good, right? Well, in today's society, simply graduating high school isn't enough to succeed. It's not clicking. Sorry. When I first started at HPA, I didn't know how to write an essay or read analytically or even study effectively. Critical skills for college and career readiness. Why is it that access to instruction in these skills is limited to those able to afford a private school tuition? My class, the class of 2018, is graduating 1 week from today. After that, we'll go into colleges including Princeton, Cornell, Tulane, USC, and Stanford. When we're there, we'll study everything from biotechnology and engineering to neuroscience to political economy. During our breaks, we'll probably intern at the top firms or volunteer or study abroad. When we graduate our college, we'll probably go to a top graduate school or enter the career world. The students from my old school won't share that path. For a majority of students graduating from my old school and going on to college, they'll be the first in their family to do so, making them first-generation college students. And again, according to statistics, these first-generation college students with low incomes from rural communities are more likely to select less academically selective institutions, complete fewer credit hours, require remedial courses, and earn lower grades than their counterparts. Along with this, they won't be spending their breaks interning and their weekends participating in extracurricular activities. They're far too busy working part-time or full-time to support both their education and their families back home. Because of this, they're stressed and are at higher risks of major depression and anxiety. Now, these students are also more likely to not report this. They're likely to not go and give and tell their stories to the student resource officers. And this combination of isolation, stress, poor academic performance, and depression makes them more likely to drop out, less likely to graduate college, and more likely to commit suicide. For the students at my old school who have gone through college and received diplomas, they're the anomaly. We need to be doing more to help rural and low-income students, because those students who have been underserved, underrepresented, and underprepared are being thrust into the world and will have to both deal with being part of the college life and work life, as well as competing with and keeping up with students with educations like mine. We talk a lot about the achievement gap, the school-to-prison pipeline, and the cycle of poverty. But is it that hard to understand why poor kids just aren't keeping up with their wealthier peers? My friends from my old school are some of the funniest, creative, smartest, most driven people I ever met, but our education system may be keeping them down and preventing them from realizing their full potential by not preparing them or providing them with the resources they need to succeed. The cards are stacked against them. Now, the issue of the achievement gap and the cycle of poverty are very complex, and so are the issues that face rural and low-income public schools. And there's not one single solution to them, but there are a few measures schools can take to help improve student outcomes. These include improving faculty cultural understanding and celebrating diversity, changing the classroom culture to academic from behavioral modifications, while also supporting students who have behavioral and learning differences, and teaching with poverty in mind, meaning teachers teaching conscientiously considering the obstacles that poor students face, including parents with low levels of education, lack of access to extracurricular activities, and poverty-related stress, while fostering an environment in this class of hope, determination, and security. While I was researching for this talk, I was pleased to find that my old school is finally taking steps to combat chronic absenteeism and improve student outcomes. They're doing this by establishing a portable, rural place that students can go to learn when they can't get to school. They're also starting a Chromebook loan program so that students can complete their coursework while also learning more about technology. And this makes me super happy, but again, the achievement gap and the cycle of poverty are very complex issues and won't be solved with simple small-town initiatives. What it will take is focused and consistent effort on the part of policymakers and school administrators nationwide, and most importantly, attention from people like you. We can't turn our backs and let these poor students suffer while we send our children to the prep school on the hill. Not anymore. Now, while I fully understand the irony of giving this TED Talk to an audience that is, for the most part, bought into the private school model, I have a challenge for you. As you think back upon your educational experience, consider how and where and when your children are educated, and vote for policy pertaining to public education in your community. Consider how your choices, actions, and lack of actions affect those who are left without a voice. And ask yourself, am I part of the problem? And am I ready to be part of the solution? Thank you.